So today you are going to write the next part of your non-chronological report. So, retrieval practice. Pause the video. Can you write a multi-clause sentence that includes the subordinate conjunction if? So pause the video and have a go at writing a sentence. So, I am going to be continue modelling my modelled write about the Portia spider. Now, from the work that you've done over the last 2 weeks, you know that you were either going to be writing your non-chronological report about the Tonga lizard, or you are going to be writing your non-chronological report about your chosen human or physical feature from North America. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you have included as much information on your research plan. You may need to go away and do some extra research if you find you don't have enough, and make sure you have got a nice strong word bank that's going to help you with your writing. So I've created myself a word bank, and this is going to help me with my writing today. So a lot of these are more subject specific words. So this vocabulary is linked to the Portia spider, and this is going to help me with my writing. So I have prey, I have locating, which is my formal language, potent. So potent is to do with the strength of something. If something's not very potent, it's not very strong. An arachnid is another word for a spider. Venomous, that describes the venom, whether it's a venomous animal, whether it's poisonous. We've looked at debris. Debris is one of our vocabulary spelling words that we looked at last week with our silent letters. So debris is to do with all of the extra bits and pieces that's left over, be it wood, be it rubbish, be it leaves. We've got agile, which is going to describe the way that my spider is going to move. I'm going to talk about the type of species that it is. Bulging is going to be used for its eyes. Camouflage, which you can also magpie and use for your Tonga lizard. So that's to do with it being able to match itself to its surroundings so it can't be seen. And then we have piercing and adaptation. Okay, so those are some more formal vocabulary that's going to support my writing today. So we're going to write our paragraph about the appearance of our animal. Now, if you are writing about your physical feature or human feature of North America, you can decide which paragraph you are going to write about because it depends on what type of subheadings you wrote on your research map. So you are in charge of deciding what paragraph you're going to write today. So here is some of my ideas that I've written down as part of my research map. So I'm going to pick 2 or 3 of those today. And that's what I'm going to base my writing on today. So I'm going to be looking at the 2 venomous fangs that it has on the front of its face. I'm going to be talking about the 8 legs and its 3 superpowers that it has. So rather than focusing all of those in one paragraph, I'm just going to focus on those 3 today to make sure that my writing is really, really good. So this is a little bit of my plan. So this is what I've now had to think about before I start writing. So I would suggest, if it helps you, before you start writing, write down a couple of sentences, think about the important feature you're going to write about, and that information will help you write your sentence. So for example, I've had to think, I'm going to start off talking about its eyes. So it has 8 extraordinary bulging eyes. So I have already included my expanded noun phrase in there. And using extraordinary, I've used some more formal language. But when I'm going to expand on my sentence, I need to explain why is it an important feature. Well, I know from my research that they help the Portia spider map their world into 3D, so I know that's an important feature, but I also know that it helps them spot their prey. So I have 2 pieces of information there that I can include my compounding complex sentences on to write about my spider. I'm then going to move on and have a look at the second features. I'm going to talk about the coat, so the furry coat that the spider has. So I know it has a furry, prickly coat. So again, I've used my adjectives. I've separated them with a comma. Okay, this is my expanded noun phrase. But I then need to think, well, why is that an important feature? How is that going to help me in my writing? Is there any way I can expand on that information? Well, I know that the reason why they have a prickly coat is it helps them camouflage themselves from their surroundings. So not only does it protect them from the threat of their own prey, but I also know it's how they camouflage themselves so they can catch their prey. So they can use it as a defense mechanism or a skill of hunting. So I've now already got those 2 ideas and some additional information that I'm going to be able to include in my writing today. So what I suggest you do is pause the video, pick 2 features from your animal, explain what they are, see if you can write an expanded noun phrase, and see if you can give me 1 or 2 reasons underneath about why that feature is important or what that feature is used for, and then you can come back to that when we write it at the end in your modelled write. So my success criteria for today, I need to make sure that I've included formal vocabulary. I also need to make sure I've used an expanded noun phrase to describe my spider, and I'm also going to have to make sure I include a compound and complex sentence. Now, we have done plenty of practice about compound and complex sentences. So your compound sentences are your standalone independent clause sentences. So that's when we're going to use our fanboys, so while we're coordinating conjunctions, to join our two main clauses together. But a complex sentence, this is usually when we use our subordinate conjunctions. So this is when we're adding a main clause and a subordinate clause together. Now, if you think you can, and I know you can because you all did it without me even teaching it to you, see if you can try and include a multi-clause sentence. So this is when we have more than one independent clause. Okay, so you'll have a main clause and more than one subordinate clause. So see if you can have a go when you come around to doing your writing. So I need to bear those three things in mind. So let's look at an example together. So polar bears are considered the largest species of bear in the world, but they can vary in size. These remarkable beasts have many special adaptations to help them survive in treacherous, cold Arctic conditions. Polar bears are covered in thick white camouflage fur to keep their bodies warm. Also, polar bears are strong swimmers because they have a layer of blubber underneath their skin that helps them to float. This is particularly useful when they are hunting on ice and in water. In addition to this, polar bears have large flat feet with long sharp claws. As a result, they can grip on ice and easily catch their prey. So, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to pause the video and go through it and see if you can find any skills that we had on our criteria. So see if you can find some formal language, see if you can spot an expanded noun phrase, and see if you can find a compound and a complex sentence. Okay, let's see how well you got on. So, first of all, I can pick out my formal language. So I've got considered in there. Now, considered is quite a nice word because considered is another way of saying thought to be, which is a more formal way of saying that, and I like that in there. We also have the word remarkable. So remarkable mean they must be special, they're amazing. Now, we wouldn't say these amazing beasts, so remarkable is a much better vocabulary word to use in a more formal manner. I also have my topic related words. So I've got adaptations, I've got survive, I've got prey, I've got camouflage in there. So I know I've already included some of my subject words that I've taken from my word bank right at the beginning of the lesson. Now, I also have in there one of my compound sentences. So, polar bears are considered the largest species of bear in the world, but, so I've got my coordinating conjunction in there, they can vary in size. Now, using the word but, this is showing me that I've got a comparison. Okay, so this is a comparable sentence with two different pieces of information. I also have a formal conjunction of also, so and I've used that at the beginning of my sentence. So I have another formal conjunction there. And I also have a complex sentence. So also, polar bears are strong swimmers because they have a layer of blubber underneath their skin. Now, that additional word of because, I'm joining my main clause and my subordinate clause together. So I'm adding that additional information of why polar bears are so strong. I also have another one. This is particularly useful when they are hunting on ice and in water. So here I'm giving a reason why that skill that they have is particularly useful. So I've used the word then. I have also used down here as a result. Now here you know that this is one of our fronted adverbials. So here, this is where I am giving a reason. So as a result of having the long sharp clause, they can grip onto ice easily and catch their prey. So I've added a reason onto that sentence as to why that's an important feature for polar bears. So what we are going to do is we're now going to compare it. So we definitely know that there was formal vocabulary in there, so we used all of that. We also know that we used some expanded noun phrases in there, and we also know that we found a compound and complex sentence. So my challenge now for my modelled write I'm going to do is I need to make sure I am including at least one example of those three skills in this paragraph. Okay? So I'm going to model to you an example. So if you'd like, you can sort of magpie my first sentence, especially if you're writing about the Tonga lizard. If you are writing about your formal or informal, if you're writing about your North America features, you need to have a sit and think about what paragraph you are going to write about. So the Portia spider has a unique appearance and is adapted to suit its environment. So I've already included some of my formal language in there of unique, I've got adapted, and I've got environment. So I'm going to kick this off, and I've got my front adverbial. So firstly, so I already know from my plan that I was going to talk and describe about the eyes, okay? So firstly, it has 8. Now, I need to think about this. I can include an expanded noun phrase in here. So let's go back and let's add an expanded noun phrase. So here, it has 8 large, do I need my comma in there because I'm adding myself an expanded noun phrase in there, bulging eyes. Now, I feel like I need to expand on this and explain why having 8 large bulging eyes is important. So, I don't want to describe the Portia spider as the Portia spider, so let's give a different definition of describing it. So, this fascinating species, so I have one of my vocabulary words already, uses its superb, so here I've got another formal language to just add a bit of additional information about how good their eyesight is. Has superb eyesight to map its surroundings. Now, is it going to be it is with an apostrophe, or is it it? Well, it's not going to be it is, so it's going to be it, so I don't need my apostrophe in there. So maps itself to its surroundings in 3D. Now, that's a good sentence, but I'm now thinking to myself, can I get a complex or a compound sentence in there? So I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm going to add myself a complex sentence in, and I think I can use the conjunction when. So I'm going to expand and explain, when is their eyesight useful when it's put into 3D? So, subordinate conjunction, when locating its prey. Okay, so there you go. I've now already used my formal vocabulary, I've got an expanded noun phrase in there, and I've already managed to include a complex sentence. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video, go back, and I'd like you to write your opening sentence for your first paragraph. When you've done that, come back and we'll carry on. Okay, good job. So you've already nearly finished writing your first part of the paragraph. So let's have a look at the last bit. So I'm going to add some formal conjunctions in here. So in addition to this, so I need my comma for my fronted adverbial. It has a furry, so I'm going to add another expanded noun phrase in here. So I need my punctuation, my comma, prickly coat that surrounds its 8 legs and body. Okay. Now, as it approaches, so I'm now going to move my subordinate clause for my complex sentence to the beginning of my sentence this time around. So as it approaches its prey, so I need my comma in here now. Now I'm going to have to explain this as the Portia spider, otherwise people are going to get confused. So the Portia spider camouflages, so I'm already using my vocabulary in here, camouflages with its surroundings. Okay, now interestingly, so I'm going to add another fronted adverbial on here. Now I want to describe the Portia spider, but I want to describe it in a different way so I'm not repeating myself. This skilled hunter also has 2 venomous, now if I go back and think about venomous, I can get an expanded noun phrase, so I need a comma in here. Sticky fangs, which, so I've got my relative pronoun in here if you can remember these, which are used to attack its prey. Now, I think I can expand on this sentence. I think that I can now put another complex sentence in here, and I'm going to think about a contrast. So I'm going to explain, going back to the beginning of my work, that it was about being potent, so it's not very strong to humans. So let's give a comparison and a contrast in here. But luckily, they are not potent enough to harm humans. Okay, so what I'd like to do is pause the video there, and then we're going to look through and see if I've included any of my checklist. Okay, so let's go back and have a look. So I've already included my vocabulary. I've got unique, I have locating, I have camouflages, I have venomous, I have potent. I have all that rich vocabulary that's related to talking about my Portia spider. I already have my compound sentence. I included the word and, so I'm gluing two of my main clauses together. I also have complex sentences in here using the word but. I also started with a subordinate clause, so as it approaches the prey, the Portia spider camouflages. I've added expanded noun phrases in at the beginning of my sentences, and I have managed to also include additional expanded noun phrases with my vocabulary. So your challenge now is I'd like you to go back and I would like you to complete that first paragraph that you are going to write. And then tomorrow we're going to practice editing and improving it. Good luck.